I'm going to do the morph. Oh no, I want full HD. Okay, those are my dimensions for full HD. Instead of this, and I want frames per second 12. Let's bring in my sketch here. Oh, and for this type of thing, you can also, if you don't want to work from a drawing, but you do want to kind of like use a reference, you can always trace from a photograph. I can even do this copy image, kind of like that image here. Okay, now I'm getting lost. Copy image, and then paste. Paste in center. Okay, there's my ear. So I can do either one. Maybe I'll keep these both on the screen, and if I wanted to, you can also like scale this up and down with the free transform tool. Maybe this will be a little smaller on my stage. I want like a fatter ear. There we go. Be a little fatter. Okay, so now I have this. I'm just going to start a new layer to be the layer that I draw on and lock that layer. So now I can kind of go in and trace this ear. Should probably plug in my Wacom again because I don't feel like drawing with the mouse. Those days are hopefully mostly over. Okay, let's see. Okay. Hello. Oh. You want to work with me here? There we go. Just going to go black. And I'm going to turn on the pressure sensitivity. Is that on? Yep, it's on. And my size is okay, so I'm going to trace this here. You can spend more or less time when you're working from a source like this. I'm not going to trace any of the head, any of that stuff. Just get the overall shape of the ear, turn off the visibility. Ooh, don't love that ear. That's okay, it's a start, and I can really spend more time on that if I want. And I think what I want to do here is I want to transition between the ear to become a D in the disoriented. And I think I want to make it kind of spiral or something. So I think it can turn into a D by 2 seconds, and then somehow I can find my way to spelling the word disoriented. So maybe then it'll move or something, I don't know. 1, 2. So I'm going to insert a blank keyframe, or convert to blank keyframe here. Doesn't matter. And now I'm going to turn on my onion skins. And again, this is going to be a morph or like a pose-to-pose technique. So this time, you don't have to use the text tool for your letters. So I guess I want a serif D. Maybe it's going to be a D that has some thickness to it, so it actually feels a bit like an image. Okay, so I think I'm going to transition between these two images. And now, right now, by default, I just have all these, I have all these hold frames, and I don't really want a hold frame there. So it's easy enough to convert some of these or all of these to blank keyframes. I'm going to just go right in the middle and do the in-between. I'm going to do the middle pose in between start and finish. Convert to blank keyframe. And so now I want to be able to see the end pose and the beginning pose. So I have to drag this handlebar so that it'll include this final frame. So let's see, what should it look like in the middle? Maybe like a semi-formed D that also has an earlobe. That's kind of interesting. So there I have something that's like a boom. And now I can do a smooth transition. And now what I can do is I can just go in here and do some auto keyframing. Maybe I'll just do straight ahead, going from here to here, because I can kind of just make it up. I can either do new drawings every frame or every other frame. And this is another, I could either say convert to blank keyframe each time and make a new drawing, or undoing that, I can turn on my auto keyframing again. And this technique is really the sort of frame by frame tradition of animating. So I'm going to have it make a blank keyframe every time so that I can totally redraw the drawing, because I'm doing a kind of fluid morphing style animation, which will really require me to just kind of draw it, because there's no way I can just like free transform the shape to get a smooth in between. So maybe I'll like have it be there, and when I start drawing, watch this. Now that auto keyframing is set on, I can just start drawing here, and it erases it and gives me a new blank keyframe to work in. And I have to make sure I know more or less what I'm getting to, but I've already kind of made it to the destination too soon, and that's what straight ahead can do. So maybe I can do something elegant on the way, and I'm just animating on the twos. As you can see, I'm going ahead 2 frames before I start drawing, instead of doing it every single frame. Maybe I'll do some like weird wiggly wobbly stuff. Let's see. Okay, so that's something, and I can just keep going from there. And now I have to get, you can see that I have somewhat of a smooth transition. It's going from an ear to a D. So now I'm going to do straight ahead in this transition. Maybe I'll do this middle position to decide really what I want to happen on the way between this and this. Maybe I'll make it do something really different. Maybe it'll kind of go into a spiral on the way. And I don't know if this will be good, but I'm just going to try it out. Because I'm doing this crazy non-direct path from one thing to another thing, I'm just going to try to narrow in my onion skin so I can really see what I'm doing. How does that look? That's okay. I don't have to animate on the twos the whole way through. I can animate every frame some places. It's really up to me. And for something that feels organic and like it's something alive, breathing, living, having some irregularity in the kind of timing between one drawing or one change in another, having fast and slow movements will give a better feeling of the kind of push and pull and the softness and weightedness and unpredictability of bodies in motion. So yeah, let's keep going. I guess I just keep going straight ahead. I'm going to include my final frame just so I know where I'm going. I think I'm going to do something zany, and I'm going to have this wrap kind of spiral into itself. I have somewhere to get to. I have an appointment on frame at 2 seconds to become a D. Am I going to make it? And you can just do the, the shortest path between origin and destination frames if you want. It's up to you. I only have like 3 more frames to work with. Am I gonna make it? Oh, I need to have this little arm come through, or this, the leading edge of this snaky form should really come through. And I guess I should just have this stay where it is. It can't. Go too far away, but now this should be coming down. And maybe this loop should be getting smaller. I guess I'm not really gonna do much of a spiral. It's gonna just be some kind of snaky movement that disappears by, let's see, let's have these two touching at this point. And now it'll just be a tiny loop. And the whole way through, you really should be either scrubbing through, oops, turning off this, scrubbing through to see how it looks. And playing it through. You can see how it's a little more staccato at the beginning because I'm animating only every other frame. And then it gets smoother towards the end. I sort of like that. A D looks like an ear. A G is more like an ear. But we're not working with G's, are we? And now that was the first 2 seconds of the animation. And so I want to get to 4. By 4, it can just be the process of getting over to the left, and then the other text will appear. So maybe I'll give it a moment to just sit there, so the viewer can register what's happened. So I'll just kind of insert a frame there, and now here, if I just wanted to move it over, I could now just create regular keyframes and slide it down. Or I can redraw it each time. But I do feel like, I just really do feel like I want to redraw it. I can't help that. No, let me just show you the difference, okay? If I click on this, I can change this now to keyframe instead of blank keyframe. So now, by clicking on that, it decided I wanted to create a keyframe too. But you can also click, sorry, to not mention this, but you can anytime click this to create a new keyframe. You can click it too. So it's not only starting to draw, you can click on it, whether the auto keyframing is on or off. So I'm going to start to draw, and maybe it already has some time. Okay, so let's, I don't like how thick my brush has gotten. I kind of zoomed out, and then the relative size of the brush to the screen changes a bit. Okay, so let's go here and begin to wiggle this thing over. Oh, that's right, I've set it to keyframe, and I wanted it to be keyframe. That was my decision. So now I've made it into a regular keyframe. To select this and move it over a little bit, I can click on the select tool and drag and drop to select everything. If I want to select everything in this frame, I can also just click on the frame, which is sometimes really handy to do. So now I can do that, and now I can maybe come over here and start to move it. The automatic keyframing was on. this should now be keyframing me. There we go. So you see it created another keyframe, even though there was no hold frame or anything there already. So now I can go down here. I guess I have to kind of select everything. Okay, so now I have that fluid motion, then I have it just moving over progressively. And I can make that smoother by doing more in between frames. I can also hit Command A to select all. It's going to be a little easier. Command A. I guess I better just get there, right? I'm about to hit my 4 seconds. No, I could just have the words already coming up at this point. It's all right. It doesn't have to arrive ahead of time, I suppose. And maybe I can do this final. Okay, so got cut off there. But just the final thing we want to do is bring in the rest of the text. Maybe what I'll do is I'll do the rest of the disoriented in a different way. Why don't I just, so I'm starting from here. Maybe what I want to end up with is I'll start a new layer, and maybe I'll just start with a text layer here. A bit smaller. Let's see. It's oriented. It's a little too small. Maybe like 120. Maybe more space. Can I add more space in between? Oh, there we go. It would be nice to have them appear one by one. And I could do some kind of hand-drawn thing, but I'll show you maybe a different technique. Well, it's going to be, maybe it can just kind of appear at the very end. Here's what I'll do. I'm going to move this keyframe by clicking and letting go and then dragging, and maybe it'll go from transparent to opaque here at the end. So why don't I do this? This can be a pretty easy thing to do. Object. The color also has, when I click on the color, it also has an alpha setting. And maybe I'll start it. I'll start the alpha down at 0, and then I'll progressively move it up. I'm clicking on it. Thank goodness I'm allowed to click it because I can't see what's going on here. And then I'll make it go a little like that. Click it again. Give it a higher percentage. And I can make keyframes on every frame if I want to. Just using different approaches in a single animation can add, life and feeling of kind of I don't know what, like nuance and integrity to your world. It's not great. It starts to appear when it's still overlapping the D, but a couple different approaches there. And then I can go back if I want and polish things up, or maybe color in the D. I don't know if I want to do that.